Welcome to another Liquid Bullet Productions. With us today is traditional karate martial artist, Mr. Tony Childs. Thanks for coming, Tony.
Pleasure.
You've also brought your son, who's a martial artist with you?
Yeah, Lewis started with me karate as a young kid, and he'd done some competitions and stuff. Then he got into boxing when he got a bit older, and then he went from boxing to Thai boxing when he went to Thailand, and then he ended up living in Thailand for 4 years and really got into the Thai boxing, and he's still fighting now. Yeah. I think you saw his last fight.
Yeah. Good.
We won't talk about that.
So just get a little bit of history about yourself, Tony, sort of where you grew up and how it all began for you.
Yeah, well, I'm an East End boy, West End Grill. Yeah. I was born and raised in East End. Yeah, East End boy, went to school in East End.
Yeah.
And moved out of East End when I was about 14 years old.
Yeah.
I used to go to the school right next to the West End football ground, St John's.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there anymore.
I think the stadium's gone now, the old one, isn't it? Knocked it down.
Then we moved down to Stanford-le-Hope, Corringham, with my parents. Then left school, got married, moved to Grays, then moved to Benfleet, and then moved to Leigh-on-Sea, and now I live in Southchurch, in Southend.
Yeah. So what sort of age did you first get the feel or the taste for martial arts?
Well, as a kid, I did boxing as a kid.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like schoolboy boxing. I did box at the Royal Albert Hall for schoolboys. Then I got into judo as a kid. This was all when I lived in East End.
Yeah. What sort of age are we at there?
I would have been probably about, I was sort of infant school.
Oh, so young, started at a young age.
Then junior school, and got into judo. Then I didn't do anything for a couple of years, so I moved down to Stanford-le-Hope, and then when I was 18, started karate with a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I started in Shotokan. I mean, you're familiar with styles, aren't you?
Yeah.
I started in Shotokan with an instructor by the name of Alex Wiley, very good instructor. I did Shotokan for a couple of years, then he moved away. So then we went to Dagenham and trained with a guy called Ian McCarity. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I haven't personally, no, I haven't heard of that, no.
So he actually lives in Miami, Florida now. He's a very good instructor. Trained with him for a while, then he went off to Japan. So we met a guy there called Jim McAllister. Have you heard that name?
Yeah, I know, he's a big name years ago, wasn't
Jim McAllister.
Yeah.
So he invited us to go and train with him.
Yeah.
And we went and trained with him, and we was with him for quite a few years.
Jim has also done kickboxing as well, didn't he?
Kickboxing as well.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. But originally he didn't do kickboxing, he was a staunch karate man.
Yeah.
So we was on the journey, and our journey sort of went in different directions. He went kickboxing. Ian McGarity came back from Japan and was studying Goju Kai with Gogen Yamaguchi, the cat there. So we decided to do that. Jim went off in the kickboxing direction, and we went Goju Kai, karate. But it's funny enough, it's gone a full circle. I'm now training again with Jim McAllister every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're still going?
Yeah. I go around his house and train. We train in his garden. He's got all sorts of weapons, and he does sort of mainly sort of like urban stuff, really nasty, like eye gashing, throat pulling, and
no good for competition.
Yeah. He's got a student called Phil Ibbett, who's a very strong guy. So it's very good for me to pair up with him because he's so strong. I think if I can deal with him, there's not many people that strong. He was a lead roofer, so you can imagine how strong his arms are. He gets older and it's like vices, So I still train with Jim. In fact, I keep in touch with all my ex-instructors, from over here, from England, and I think it's good.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit through your sort of karate sort of history from sort of where you started out and sort of how you progressed up the grades, and can you tell us a little bit about the traditional side of karate?
Yeah, so I started Goju Kai with Ian McGarity. I actually started karate in 1972, was when I started. Goju Kai I started
Before I was born, Tony. Don't want to make you feel old.
I do feel old, yeah. I started Goju Kai in 1979. And then in 1984, I went to Japan with Ian McGarity.
Oh, wow.
And he introduced me to Gogen Yamaguchi the cat. Have you heard of Gogen Yamaguchi?
Yeah.
He introduced me to him. I trained there. I went for 2 weeks and stayed for 6.
Blimey.
Yeah.
What's it like training over there? Because obviously that's where it originated from, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a great experience, you know. The Japanese are very dedicated.
They welcome you okay over there?
Huh?
They welcome you all right?
Yeah. They're fine. I mean, they give their all when they're training, 100%, and the atmosphere in the dojo is enormous, you know. And what with the cat, Gogen Yamaguchi, the cat being there, sitting there, watching you train, you know, it was quite old then. He was in his 70s, sort of thing, you know. But he still had that aura about him. So, yeah, that was a wonderful experience, and I trained with the Goju Kai ever since.
Wow.
You know? And I went through the grades, physical gradings, right up to 6th Dan. Yeah.
That's quite a high grade, isn't it, to get to 6th?
Yeah. And they're all physical gradings, you know. So, yeah. And now, I'm still teaching Goju Kai. I teach children. I teach in 2 schools, junior schools.
Yeah.
I teach at a place called Badger's Den, which is disabled people, all sort of disabilities, blind, deaf, autism, people in wheelchairs, you name it.
That's quite amazing.
And that's one of my favourite classes, because they're so enthusiastic and they give 100%, you know. And it's just any movement or anything you can get them to do is good for them.
Yeah. How challenging? Obviously, I know it's a little bit challenging for them finding ways around it, but how challenging is that for you as an instructor?
Well, it's challenging, but I don't find it difficult.
No,
because
it's probably quite rewarding as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite rewarding, and I've got an adaptive syllabus for those people that suits their individual needs, you know. As long as there's progression and they're enjoying it, that's the most important thing. I mean, I started there because the woman that runs it, Miss Jodie Sharp, she contacted me and asked me if I'd go and teach karate there, because apparently I taught her kids years ago. I've taught so many kids over the years, I wouldn't remember. But she said, you know, would you, and we'll pay you to come over and teach. So I started teaching over there, and then the general secretary of my association, he's a very clever bloke. He's trod the floors of power in local government and all that, and he knows how to apply for funding, and he knows how to write an application, community-based, and getting people active and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he said, Tony, we could get funding for Badger's Den, so they don't have to pay anything. Nobody pays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you could pay your volunteers' expenses and stuff like that. And he applied to the lottery for funding and
Good.
got funding. Yeah. And then I teach in one of the schools I teach in is Milton Hall in Westcliff, and this is considered a deprived area. A lot of ethnic minorities and kids with ADHD and all those sort of problems.
Yeah.
And I was teaching in there. They were paying, and then Bill said, well, we'll get funding for that as well. So he got funding for that as well, and then I supplied them with karate suits, gloves, licenses, everything. They don't pay at all.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because karate's always not really been funded much, is it? I know, like with the Olympics, and when they used to fight for the England, it was all self-funded, wasn't it, by the person? So,
well,
I don't know if that's changed over the years,
no,
but it used to be like that.
I mean, I had a conversation with Sport England, and they told me they don't even recognise karate as a sport because there's no unification.
That's crazy, isn't it? They've got just fun taekwondo and judo and stuff like that,
but karate, there's no unification. So all these governing bodies, they all agree to disagree. So because there's no unification, there's no
so they need like a head, one sort of association to run rather than all the different ones.
Yeah, or what they want, unification. They all get round the table and they all agree
on one thing.
And have joint selections and everything. But it's karate people.
It's a shame after all these years they can't just get their heads together and sort it out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like you say, all the students are the ones that are suffering and missing out really for the benefits of it.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got the EKF, English Karate Federation, and they only really look after the elite. There's nothing for grassroots people, like people just training in the dojo.
Yeah.
It's the elite, the athletes. I don't belong to them anymore. I joined a group called Karate England, and they're more for grassroots students, and they have competitions for grassroots students, courses for grassroots students. So
when you say grassroots, can you just explain sort of what you mean?
Well, I mean, like,
as in
the intermediate grade, beginners, intermediate grades, to bring them up, and to give them confidence.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get selected into, say, the EKF squad. Very difficult.
Yeah.
You have to be sort of like an elite athlete,
Well, so just ask you a little bit about the traditional side. So, what is the sort of elements of the traditional side? Obviously, you've got your competition side, which you sort of see on the mat with two people fighting. But what is the background of the traditional side?
Traditional karate is training yourself to be better today than you was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's self-improvement, and it's a never-ending road. You just keep on that road, keep training, and keep improving. It's character building. It's confidence. It's all those things. It's like kids that do karate. You're building confidence in them. Confidence, like life skills, like confidence to ask their first girl out.
Cool. So when they're young, some kids can't even talk, can they?
No. And then confidence through their karate training and building confidence to go for their first job interview, and and stuff like that.
It's a bit like
strengthen their
building,
character. Yeah. Obviously there's the self-defense and side of martial arts, which is important as well. But we promote discipline, etiquette, respect, that side of it, and that's what a lot of the parents send the children to karate for these days. To discipline the children, to teach them to respect other people, and we don't produce bullies and things like that. Yeah. But we do teach them how to defend themselves if they are attacked. But yeah.
So what sort of goes into sort of the training regime of the traditional karate side?
Well, traditional karate is a lot of basics. I mean, you've done karate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, just so the viewers get an idea, could you explain the sort of basics and the technique?
So, well, put it this way. If you built a house on sand, eventually it collapses.
Yeah.
So because it's got no foundations.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how strong the walls are, it's going to collapse, isn't it?
It's got no foundation. But same with karate. If you don't do a lot of basics, basic technique, basic stances, a lot of ki-on going up and down, practice your basics, and then your basics is what you put into your kata. And your kata is what you put into your bunkai, your application and everything. So if you've got good foundations, everything else will be good.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? So obviously you mentioned the kata and bunkai. Can you just explain what that is so people can understand what that is?
Well, basically kata's a whole bunch of basics, but it's put into a form, a set form of imaginary opponents, and you're blocking, striking, moving in different directions. And then that kata, then there's an application of that kata, what you could do with a partner. Or you could find out your own interpretation of the kata and for your own repertoire. But there are set bunkai. In the Goju Kai, they have set bunkai to each kata that you have to learn for gradings. But then there's many more applications you could find for yourself, for your own repertoire, you know.
So it's a little bit like when you're doing the katas or the movements, every movement is actually a technique or a block or a strike against someone. It's not just like a dance routine where they're doing it in the air, is it?
Although, there's a lot of competition kata that's done a bit, you know, maybe too quick or too many long pauses, or they change the timing and stuff like that.
Just to make it look more sort of like for show.
Like. For the competition to win. I mean, I'm a stickler for, no, you've got to do it properly. You can't change the timing. You can't practice your kata 1,000 times and then go and win the competition. Don't change. See, what happens is they'll go to a competition and they'll see someone, they've changed a slow move to a really quick move, and that person wins. So then they think, oh, they won because they did that move really quick. No, they didn't win because of that. They won because of the whole kata. The judges liked the whole kata, not just because of that bit. And I say to mine, no, don't change the timing. Do the kata in the competition exactly the same as we practice it in the dojo. And that's it. I don't like changing.
I like altering stuff.
I don't like changing things to impress judges, and do your kata properly, and you can still win the competition.
How do you find the sort of the training regime? Sort of, has it changed over the years, or is it still the same set sort of routines? Obviously, I know a lot's changed over the years with like health and safety. I mean, now we've got like padded floors and stuff. You didn't get that in the old days, did you? It was like, you was probably doing takedowns and throwing each other on solid hard floors and stuff.
I mean, I'm more traditional. I'm not really a competition orientated, but if my students want to compete, I support them. Especially the children. I think it's good for children because they're naturally competitive. I'm not so sure about adults because, I mean, I competed. But when I competed, there wasn't even mitts.
Oh, really?
You didn't have gloves.
No gloves at all.
And then gloves, mitts come in, flimsy little white things. They were hardly anything. But it was different in my day. I mean, even though it was traditional, if there was a competition and my instructor, say like Ian McGarrett, said, Tony, this competition, I want you to do kata and kumite. I'd do it because I'm representing him and I was representing the club. That was the only reason. Whether I won or lost, that wasn't important. You just go and do your best and enjoy it. So that was always my attitude. I mean, there was in 1989, there was a European Championships in Holland, and Ian McGarrett said to me, "Oh, Tony, I want you to do the individual kata, team kata, individual kumite, team kumite, and bunkai.
Doing all that in one day.
yeah, that was all in one day. He said, and then after that, there was training camp after that. I want you to take a third day in grading. And I went to him, don't you think that's a bit much? He went, no, you can do it, Tony. I said, oh, okay then, Sensei. And I did it, and I come away a European bunkai champion with the partner I had, Andy Packer at the time. For that, I think I got placed in team kata, team kumite. Oh, so so I did all that, and then on the camp.
And then you had to do a grading after.
Grading,
Must have had no energy left.
It was me and a guy called Ozell Osman. We graded together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I know Oz, yeah.
Oh, you know Oz? Yeah, so we graded together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what sort of has changed over the years regarding sort of your sort of training dojos, as they call them, don't they?
Well, I can only speak for Goju Kai, from what I've seen in Goju Kai. I mean, originally Goju Kai was very traditional. They fought in Niko Ashidachi cat stance. They did a lot of groin kicks. So they'd have one hand here, and Niko Ashidachi to protect the groin. Yeah. And that's the way, and they do it through a lot of heitos, a lot of close-in stuff. It was very close-in fighting, continuous. And it was famous for that. The Goju Kai was famous for that sort of fighting. And people that weren't used to it, that went to the Goju Kai, say from Shotokan somewhere, quickly changed for the hand down there because they weren't used to giving a kick to the groin. Yeah. You know. But then I say, unfortunately, because of WKF style of fighting, they came out the cat stance into a normal fighting stance, bounce, and they lost their sort of identity. Yeah. You know, and years ago when I first started fighting, you got the four main schools: Wadaru, Goju, Shotokan, Shitaru, and they all had their own fighting sort of style, and you could tell the way someone's fighting what style they came from.
One's different.
Yeah, but now everybody fights the same. Yeah.
Has it been adapted more to the sort of competition sort of style?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. But for me, the Goju Kai, all their pair work mainly is close in, and I'll show you later what I mean. Yeah. All their pair work is designed to come in close and stay with your person, whereas the WKF is more distance, but and do a long technique or a long kick. You know? It's just a different style of fighting. It's different style of fighting. So what's happening is what I can see in the Goju Kai now is they train one way and fight another.
Right. Yeah.
They did have it's called Jukumite, which is continuous. Right. And they had it in World Championships, but people misunderstood it. It's supposed to be with the same sort of control that you use in the dojo. Yeah. But it ended up like a brawl. Yeah, they were headbutting one another.
Oh, really?
Crazy thing. So, Psycho Shen Yamaguchi stopped it. He took it out of the tournament. Yeah. But I think they should have trained it more and taught the people how to do it and kept their own identity. Because Taekwondo's got its own way of fighting. That's very successful. It's a very big organisation. Kyokushin Kai, they've got their own knockdown. Karate, yeah, and that's very successful worldwide. And I think Goju Kai could have kept the Jukumite going, but unfortunately, it's sort of got lost. Yeah.
So you got your son with you there, Tony. Can you tell us how you sort of got him into training? Was it yourself responsible for that?
Yeah. Well, I took him karate as a kid. I don't think his mother was liked it.
What sort of age was that?
How old was you? You was only young, weren't you? About 6.
6, yeah.
5 or 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah. He had his first fight in the ring when he was about 7, didn't you?
Yeah, got
Yeah.
photos of that.
Yeah. Put him in
Was that sort of pushed into that?
Semi-contact karate match.
Yeah.
That was against Luke.
Luke,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was your first thing in the ring.
How did you find out Lewis? Was that something you wanted to follow your dad's footsteps and do, or?
No, I sort of got pushed into it.
Yeah.
But boxing, you
Yeah.
pushed me into that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Boxing when I was at school.
And you had quite a few
Yeah,
fights,
I had a
didn't
few
you?
fights, about 8 I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Dean Weaver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went to Thailand and found Thai boxing, Muay Thai.
See, what it was for Lewis, it was that the karate wasn't. It's like play fighting to him.
Yeah.
It's not like real fighting. Yeah. He wants to knock his opponent out. Yeah? Of course, we don't do that in karate. You know, so that's why karate wasn't for him. He preferred the Thai boxing and the contact, and you know, so I was quite happy for that, and plus I got to go to Thailand twice to see him.
I was a school teacher in Thailand as well for a year.
Oh, right.
English teacher. That was quite
Yeah,
good.
it must be good.
Yeah, it was quite rewarding. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. He had a good teacher in Thailand, in Yabon. What's
My trainer, Miltra Khan.
yeah?
He's like
He had over
legend
100.
of the golden era.
What did he have? Over 100 fights.
He's had over 200 fights.
Over 200 fights in the ring. His trainer. He was a legend in Thailand in his day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find the karate helped you set up the sort of foundations for the Thai boxing and stuff though?
No,
didn't help with your flexibility and your
boxing, I
kicks
had
and.
to forget it all and start again.
Right, gotcha.
You know, I had to change everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because throwing the kicks in it's different.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like karate fights, wuko fights, they're bouncing and you know, and it's speed, and so they're about bang and get their point, bang get. But as soon as you get two people, when you put them into a ring or a scenario where, well, now it's full contact, straight away the stance shortens, the hands come up, the shoulders come up, it completely
tighten up.
It completely changes because all of a sudden, you know, I've got to protect myself more. I've got to be more, you know, grounded.
Yeah.
You know, it's different.
Yeah, it changes the perspective a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you know someone's going to try and, they're not just going to go touch you. They're going to knock, you know, try and knock you out.
What does the future hold for you now, Tony? Sort of now you're sort of older.
Well, I've produced quite a lot of black belts over the years. I've produced world champions, European champions, national champions. I've produced good standard of students over the years, and I've been really, you know, particular about the standard of their karate. And, you know, I just think all the time, while I'm still producing good students, I'll carry on, continue doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll continue doing it. And, you know, I enjoy seeing youngsters come up and even parents, a lot of the parents, because their children are doing karate, they start doing karate.
Yeah.
And when it becomes a family thing, and you know, I like to see that, and I like to see them come on. Sometimes the children stop and the parents carry on. You know,
just a quick random question: did you have any sort of idols or heroes sort of growing up as sort of in the martial art world?
Well, obviously Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
You know, that era.
They all come out in the sort of late 70s, didn't they? Bruce Lee.
Yeah. But you know, I used to go on the Donovan camps, Donovan Malera courses, all those things.
Yeah.
Of course, there were famous names like Anoida and people like that. There was a guy called Bob Lawrence. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I've heard of that name. I can't think of his face. Yeah.
he passed away about 10, 15 years ago now, but he was a formidable martial artist. I think he taught Jim McAllister, Ian McGarity and people like that. Yeah, there was people like him. I mean, I trained with him a few times. Yeah, I trained with Donovan, Valera.
I had a few mention his name, didn't we, boy? Come on, take you, Donovan. Yeah. Had a few people mention his name.
Yeah. I used to train all sorts of courses and stuff.
Yeah. So do you also do some stuff with weapons? Is that correct, Tony?
Yeah, I started doing. It's called Kabudo, Ryukyu Kabudo. Ryukyu is the islands off Japan, like Okinawa.
Yep.
So it come from Ryukyu. It come from those islands. What it was during the pandemic, when the lockdown and all that. A good friend of mine, Robert Curtis, 16 Shokan. We decided to start doing a bit of weapons, and he was coming round to my dojo every day, and we had nothing to go by, but we were getting films up on YouTube and stuff, and learning it like that, and then all of a sudden we said, well, you know, let's find a system that's got a proper structure and a syllabus that we can follow. So we looked on the internet and we found this Ryukyu Kabudo, and it's run by essentially Julian Mead, who's 7th Dan, chief instructor in this country.
Yeah. And
we looked at his syllabus and it had a structure, and we thought, oh, we could follow that, and we followed it. We trained every day for about 6 months on this, and then after the lockdown, we contacted him and said we'd like to come train me. He said, oh, please come and share my dojo. So he invited us to share his dojo. We went there. That's in Cornston in Surrey, right near Heathrow.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday, it's about an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. We go there, and he's got a class of various Dan grades there, right up to about 4th Dan, I think. All been doing it 20, 30 years.
Blimey.
And we've just gone, you know, I was sort of throwing ourselves in the deep end really, but we're really enjoying the Kabudo, and he does seminars and that. We go to his seminars. He's a very, very good Kabudo teacher. I mean, so far we do the bow, which is 6-foot staff.
Yep.
We do the sai, which are like, have you seen sai? They're like dagger
like
things.
the old Ninja Turtles used to have, weren't they?
Them. We do them, and there's all basics. It's just like karate. They're an extension of your arm. You're doing, but you've got weight in your arms. You do katas, you do pair work with them. There's tonfa, which is a wooden.
Like the old American police used to use, isn't it? Yeah.
They're very difficult to use. There's a thing called teko. Actually, I've got some in my bag. I'll show you that. They're knuckle dusters, but they're a proper Okinawan weapon that they do katas and pair work with them with these things called teko. Yeah. So it's up. And then they've got like a spear and shield. The shield is a tortoise shell, and the spear.
Like going into battle.
Yeah. But I mean, really, I'm a novice at weapons. I mean, I do show my students, if any of them want to do it on a Saturday, me and Rob's always stay behind and practice, and if any of them want to join in, they can. But I don't charge them or anything, and I don't profess to be a weapons instructor. I'm a student. I've took one grading to 4th Q, which is like equivalent to karate. It's about purple belt, I think. Yeah. But the main thing is we're enjoying it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And
it's good to always learn something new, isn't it? And keep challenging yourself.
And it is good for your karate because you're still doing stances. You're still doing like if I do that with a stick, I'm still doing like a punch. You know, you're still doing, but you've got weight in your hands, so it's.
That's
builds
interesting.
good strength in your
stuff.
technique. Yeah, yeah. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. Yeah.
So Lewis, can I just ask you, have you got anything upcoming fights coming?
No, not yet.
Nothing planned?
No, I'm still training.
Yeah.
Yeah, most nights. Yeah.
Train every night?
Yeah. Do one class a week, teach one class a week.
Yeah. So you teach your own Thai boxing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You train, you go around to various places, don't
Yeah,
you?
I go to a few gyms.
Because
Yeah.
you get sparred with lots
Yeah,
of different people.
different varieties.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where I started it in Thailand, I've got no affiliation. There's no gym politics with me because where I started it there, I'm pretty free to go everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
It's better though like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
To be able to do what you want,
Yeah.
sort of freelance as such.
Do you intend to fight?
Yeah, I'll fight again. I'm just having a little break.
Yeah, having a break. It gets too much, doesn't it, when you're constantly training?
Fight camps are hard.
So that last fight he had, I think it was, I mean, that was the third opponent. The first one pulled out, then they found another one. He pulled out, didn't he? Then they brought that guy in.
I trained for a southpaw. It was southpaw and southpaw.
Yeah.
And the guy weren't southpaw when, you know.
Yeah.
And he was K1. He was K1 champion, wasn't he? That was his belt he was fighting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I think it was a bit mismatched, yeah.
Right, so if anyone wants to find you, Tony, for to get into contact with you or wants to follow your stuff, where can they find you?
Well, on Facebook, Goju Kai England, Lee Goju Kai. They'll find me on Facebook. I think I gave you a leaflet with all my...
Yeah, I've got all that, that'll go up as well.
Got a leaflet that'll come up with my number on it and all that, and anyone's welcome to come and train in my class. I have got classes outside of schools and that. I've got a class in Lee on a Saturday morning, a Friday evening. I've got another one in Westcliff on a Monday evening, adults and children. Yeah.
Lovely. So, Tony, we're going to start winding it up there. We're going to get you in your suit now and show us some stuff.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Lee.
Lewis.